Hi there, traders, and welcome. So I'm just going to do a quick video on the market recap or the prime setups that we see on the major markets that I've watched. It's mainly indices. So we've got the ASX 200, the Hang Seng, the Japan Nikkei, the DAX, the UK, which is the FTSE, the US Tech 100, and the Wall Street 30. So we'll go through those. The prime setups in the recent session. So the ASX was the Asian session today that we just went through, and the DAX, the UK, the FTSE, and the US Tech and the Dow will be from the overnight session, so their main session, all right, which is probably what you've traded. So we'll start off with the ASX 200. You can see the market opened up and it just ramped straight up. Okay, so I didn't get involved in any of this action at all. I didn't think that would go so hard. It was pretty much ramped up on really thin volume, smacked straight up into a resistance zone, and then failed straight away after that. So prior to that, if you're going to get long, if you're trying to get long, there wasn't, for me, there was really no clean setup. It was kind of a tough gig. Maybe in here, but by then you're in kind of an extended market, taking that bid there. You didn't know that was going to happen at the time. So I didn't even take that. I was just watching it at that time. I actually didn't trade this at all today. So you can see, like I said, no real clean setup. But once it started to move, it was just a constant push up, spike up, a bit of a back to the MA, spike straight up, back, spike up. And then slowly and surely, the spikes were less and less, and sellers were coming in more and more. And then we started to fail. So once we got below the MAs, you've got to flip and look to sells. So you've got the 10 EMA and the 20 EMA. I tend to use the 50 as well. But they're the two main ones. Once we start getting below, I'm looking for a bit of a shoulder. What do we call it? A little lower high like this. So what I've just marked up there is sort of the key areas where, if you're going to get involved, where you probably want to get involved. Okay. Here, nice little zone. Look, that was a tough one too, because after you've seen all this strength come in, constant buying, ramping it right up, tough to get into a short there. But when you look at it, really not much risk at all. If you had a bit of a short through the bottom side, you box it up, meaning take a break at the bottom. Risk is just at the top. You're not risking too much. I think you're probably risking a few points, really. What was that? 5, 6 points. So if you're having a 10-point risk, you're well in the clear there. And then it said headed south all the way down to before you started to come into some trouble. You probably got 12 points out of that. But then it's set up again. This is more of a clean setup for me. I like this sort of back to the MAs. It was trying to go for a deeper correction, knocked on the head again. Another lower high comes into play, and again, you've got a nice little trade on that one, 6 or 7 points risk, and potentially, if you sat through this, you could have got something around, the 10 points again. And then you had another setup. We had a deeper correction here, so that was more of a macro correction, we call it, as in there's no real major correction on the 5 minute through here, but this is more of a 5 minute correction. We're on the 1 minute chart. So once it corrects like that, you've got the lower high come to play and expanded down. So that was it for the ASX 200 on the Hang Seng. Hang Seng I found really tough going today. I wasn't around just here, and I was watching it here, and I didn't expect it after that selling straight into resistance, support. I didn't expect it to keep going, so I took a short just in here, which it actually went okay, but then it reversed on me. It reversed all the way back, and I got $50, 50 or $60 out of it, which was really nothing when you're up a few hundred. So yeah, it was after that. I didn't really do too much. I actually had a couple of longs that didn't work out. Long in here, went up, turned back out. Actually, it was no, it was maybe in here. I got a bit of a long in here, and it turned around and faded on me. So I ended up with a break-even trade there. So really, after that, it was just a choppy market. There was really some pressure selling in there. This was looking like it was going to start to base. We had to move through these lows, which you can see, move through those lows, and then started to lift off there. I thought it might have expanded up and we're starting to get into this high. So I think I took a long in here and had to cut that real quick, and took a long in here and it didn't go anywhere either. Didn't get through these highs, and it started to fade again, okay, all the way down. But you can see these are the prime areas. If you could have got something on the open off a resistance zone, you can see the market was above that, faded in there. So once it opened, started to look heavy. You got lower highs come to play, expanded down, another area in here, another area in here, and a prime area in here. Okay, once we get off those lower highs and off the MAs, you got the MACDs or the momentum on the short term. For this is a 1 minute, 5 minute. They're both in your favor. Okay, look at the Japan 225. So the Nikkei. I marked this one up I alerted this one to our group and on Discord channel. Went really, really nice. Okay. On the 5 minute chart, it actually was looking like it was going to teeter over here. Now there was no setup for me here. So once you're looking for that sort of fade in there, I'll show you what I mean. Here we go. Looking for this fade in here. I'm looking for a lower high. Didn't play it, come all the way to the top again, come back up, straight back up. As soon as we got that flush, then we got our lower high. So there, I boxed up the risk probably around here. You can see that low risk. We've got a flush here, attracting some buyers. Once it got through that high, everyone that's looking to break out trade, it's got through the high, they bought into the market with a stop below here, and all of a sudden they're straight away they're under pressure, and they're sitting through this, and they get stopped out. As soon as they get stopped out, there's some energy on the downside, which is what we want to take advantage of on the short side. Okay, when we're trying to sell into the market, we know that there's trap traders. Anyone that's been buying through here's got it wrong. Okay, it turns, rolls over, and you can see it just expanded lower. Another setup on the downside there for a short, for a sell, and it turned out really nicely. So there's a lot of fat in those two trades. The DAX, so this was from their session. Okay, so it's just under a day ago, under 24 hours. So we're coming into the start of a new session. This is the last session. 6 o'clock, so this is Sydney time, 6 o'clock open, around about that. 6 o'clock open was just here on this first candle. Market opened straight away and faded all the way until 7 o'clock when the actual index opens. So as soon as we started the fading, and the market does this time and time again, if you get into shorts here, some sold positions, like say for here, nice entry, fine. You got your break through the low, risk above. That was the first time it really set up. That's fine. You just got to realize that it can easily sell and then trap. And as soon as it starts to reverse, anyone that's been selling in here, they get squeezed straight back out of the action again. Okay. And after that, trying to get long through here, I found I don't see any type of setup that I like through here. I didn't see anything prime up until we had this two-legged move down and we actually held. Okay, you can see this flush down here and we started to hold. So for me, that's a retest fail, we call it, or a little minor double bottom. We start to lift. So I see that as more of the prime entry than anything through here. Okay, and then you can see what happens. As soon as you get your prime entries, because they kick off quite quickly. Okay, if you're in here and you get long in here, for instance, and it doesn't go anywhere and you keep having to fight it, it's not a prime entry, obviously. As soon as you get this kind of thing, it sort of spikes up. There's anyone that's been buying in here thinks, here we go. And anyone it's come back down again, the sellers are going, okay, that's it. The buyers are over. And all of a sudden we start to hold again. Anyone that's sort of selling in here is going, oh, that's it. I'm giving up. I'm capitulating. I'm buying it back. And you see this ramp back up. And it also says to the market, look, we're not going down. All right. And then it turns around and runs straight back up again. So that's a really nice setup. Just got to keep an eye on the time. I don't want to go too long. So that's on the DAX. After that, I didn't really see too much. Really for me, trying to trade it in here long, yeah, you could have done it, but that was more luck than me. It didn't. To me, it doesn't look like it's setting up. I don't like why it's overextended. The momentum's coming off, and if you go to sell it, or sorry, buy it in there, you're sort of against the momentum. Yeah, it did kick on a bit more, and it held those highs, so you had ample opportunity to take a small profit. But really, it's not a prime setup. The prime setup's earlier on. Okay, UK 100, so the FTSE, just in here. So we're on this is the 5-minute chart. So I'll go into just a 1-minute chart in the moment. Popped up, you could have got, if we I'll mark this up here, potential sell opportunity just there, didn't go too far, ramped straight back up. Once the index opened, so this is the same as the DAX. Markets open, the futures markets popped up, pressured the market down, ramped straight back up. The thing is, this failed, okay? Whereas the DAX actually kept grinding higher. The FTSE failed. It went a lot deeper and before it started lifting later on, which is pretty much late in the session. So the index, which finishes 3 a.m. Halfway through the US session, 3 a.m. Sydney time, it kicked off here at 5. This was at 5 o'clock. So this was, no, so it wasn't. Actually, this was before the market opened. I lie. It actually kicked off before the market opened. So I was looking at something else. I think it was a tech. Anyway, it was something else I was looking at. So it did kick on quite nicely. So if you got into this trade here, started to fail, ripped straight back up, you got a lower high. You could have got a short into here because it is a lower high. Below pretty much a failed double top or a retest fail. You've got the markets taken out, it's gone to new lows, popped up. So there you could have expected to start attacking to those lows. As soon as we start to get buying on the way down, a couple of green candles, you're probably going to want to bail on that. And then it wasn't long after that, we got a prime setup. So you held the low here, held this low, held an inside level as well, nicely, as the market started to go, sideways through here, popped up through those highs, pull back, retest, held, up we go. Okay, so from there on in, it was a nice trend high. It started establishing that trend, and you could have got somewhere, if you could have held that 30 or so points on that one. So quite nice in the end. If we just go down to a 1-minute chart, I just want to see how that played out. Just going to make sure that I am not talking rubbish. Here we go. 1 minute. It might look a bit better on the 1-minute charts. So I'm just going to get across. Here we go. So that's the action there. You can see, yeah, nice little, yeah, that was a selling opportunity. Didn't go too far, ramped straight back up, couldn't have bought it in there. You can see here the market's popped up, got a lower high in play, a shoulder, we call it. So you're looking at that secondary phase down, played out, but you've got to be quick, just making sure that you know where your risk is once you want to get out. Market turns, ramps straight back up through that highs. I don't see anything really for me on the downside here. It was just one straight rip straight down, straight back up in here. Could have got short. There was some short entries potentially in here, especially after the failure there, because you know that anyone that's bought it here, anyone that's buying it trying to break higher, it's getting sold into. So anyone that's is long through here has got to unwind, meaning they've got to sell back into the market. And sure enough, it comes back down, but you had to fight that as well. And it was later on in here, which is a prime entry. Okay, we'll get up to the US tech now. We're on the 1 minute chart. Again, this was a bit, what I've got marked up in those square boxes is the 5 minute zones where you want to trade. Okay, probably a bit off center, but you can see those areas where you really do want to take advantage of these ones. Get that across there. That's what I'm looking at. Okay, and I'll explain the reasoning behind it. So this is the opening market. Dries down, not looking so crash hot there. Sort of a channel down, pops up out of the channel after a secondary phase down. So it's not committed to the downside. Pops up, holds this high low. Okay, looking fine. So there was a nice entry up there. Didn't go too far before we started to get this contractive action again, more of a grind sideways to down again. And then we started to pop out again. You can see that, okay, action's down. It's not committed again. So anyone that's buying it, it's not really committed through on the sell side. All right, we started to hold up here and we started to lift. As soon as you start to lift and hold a higher low, especially after getting supported through a low, like we are here, through this low, then fine, you go long. Okay, buy it into there. Again, it doesn't go too far before it starts to fade again, and then we get, so it's kind of the same action all session. Yeah, it's going up, and you can get some nice little entries, but it's more of a scalping mentality than, a big, nice long when the thing just goes fast and you don't have to worry too much about it. So it was a difficult market on the tech, the US tech. Get over to the Dow. So I think this was the open. Yep, that was the open at 130. I'm on the 1 minute chart here. Open, look, the Dow for me, I don't see anything prime. I don't see anything that I probably would have got tempted into. I think it was more choppy action. You can see the market's opened, it's grinded its way up, as opposed to what we're looking at, I think, on the DAX and the Dow. They grinded down and then ramped up. This one's sort of grinded up that first hour before the index opens and then gets slammed back down again. Okay, this is the 1:30 a.m. Sydney time, so that's the index open. This is the futures market prior, the pre-open really. Index opens, slams down. It does hold. Okay, once you hold the flush there, I don't see an entry for me. I don't see an entry for me long in here. Okay, retest failed, little minor double bottom. You could have taken something in there, knowing that you're probably going to attack the highs, maybe up here. Yeah, it turned out all right. Later on, higher low. Look, maybe in here, you could have got a long, didn't go too far before we had this grind back down again. So you can see it's sort of very choppy. It's not committed to the upside. It's not getting out of hand. Even in here, if you want to take something in here, okay, that's fine. You got the 1, 2 legs down, pops up, hits that trend line, holds a higher low. Okay, you're on the rise. So we know there's a few sellers in here going to get squeezed out. We could buy an entry here, pops up. Yeah, if you can hold through here, you've got a good little runner up there. Potentially, say somewhere in here to be conservative, 50 points. Okay, that's great. If you're just getting just into these highs, you start taking it off up here. You could scale out. You've got 30 points or so. All right, so it didn't do too bad. We keep going later on. The market's now turned south. It's heading down. Okay, we find a base through here. This was later in the session. This was a couple of hours or so before it closed. Holds up here, retest, 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 fail. Start to pop up. We're back above the MAs here. So this spike above the MAs, it's straight back down again. Yeah, you went above the MAs, but you didn't hold. Through here, it was more sideways action. Here, we're into expansion. The MAs are starting to pop up, okay? They're starting to come apart to the upside. The 10's above the 20, and then they've all popped above the 50. Hold in here. Okay, ramp up. So you can buy in here, you can buy in here, and then you can see the result from there. It kept pushing higher right up into the close about, I think it was about, just before 8 o'clock. Oh, a bit of a choppy session after that. But yeah, you can see that you've got, if we just measure that from this entry, maybe you could have got somewhere around here, 50 to 60 points. Even on this entry here, you could have got 40, 50 points or so. So quite nice all in all. All right, that's it for me. That was what I wanted to cover. So we've gone over some nice trades, some nice entries, and the way I would view the market with my entry setups and with my criteria for what I'm looking for. Um, Yep, as long as you know what you're looking for, you know where you're managing your risk, it'll be good. Okay, it's rinse and repeat, same sort of price action. All right, thanks for joining me, guys, and we'll see you at the European Open and then later potentially in the US Open. Cheers, bye.